I would be really interested in your opinion on why you fish with the fly, because it can't be just enjoying nature, because you could do that without a fly rod, and it can't be catching fish because other methods are many times way more effective to catch fish. So why do we fish with a fly rod and line? That is a very, very interesting question, and I think that one part of the question, of the answer to this question, is that fly fishers are problem solvers, natural born problem solvers. And if you choose to fly fish, you enjoy the challenge of solving problems and of battling the elements in a way, because if you watch someone fly casting, it looks like gravity is non-existent near, and it looks like a beautiful dance that is music-like and relaxed, and it soothes the mind watching a good cast, as it also tortures the mind watching bad casting. And I am on this planet to reduce the amount of bad casters, because what I see out there is terrible. A lot of the casting out there is totally out of control. I told you that already, but I go on later for this. Now I want to make a few casts because I try something new today. That is fishing a little bit on the sea for sea bass, which will probably not work, but nevertheless I got heavily inspired by a couple of cool individuals. Shout out to my main man Surf Gadget Mani over on the East Coast, New Jersey, and also shout out to Marcin Kantor for putting out some bass footage over YouTube. Also big shout out to YouTube. What an incredible source, and if you found my YouTube channel, you know also why, and congratulations, you have been chosen to become the future elite of fly fishing. Why that is, check out my videos in the Fly Fisher Intelligence Quotient Intelligence Fly Q series, and let's do a little bit of fishy fashion.
The importance of fly casting proficiency is often overlooked or underestimated by the majority of fly fishermen, chiefly because so little has been done to encourage them to achieve this proficiency. A truly expert caster can present his fly to a fish without hesitation, just as easily as you can park your car on a city street. And the ability to do so adds a great deal of satisfaction to the fishing. The most difficult part of fly casting to communicate and to learn is the feel of correctly applying power to the rod and line. Joan Wulff, when asked to describe that feel, replied, "Can you describe for me the taste of an apple?" He then explained, as I must, that the only way to really learn fly casting is to experience it. How do you spell fly casting? C-O-N-T-R-O-L. Control is the key word in all of fly casting. Control of power and control of motion. Power and motion without control is simply random energy, chaos. Fly rods and chaos are poor dance partners. And remember, The mind controls the arm, that controls the rod, that controls the line, that controls the fly. It is control that starts in your head that ultimately dictates what happens to the fly. In 1951, Joan Wulff outcast everybody at the National Fisherman's Distance Fly Contest. How did she do it? Control. Joan is not a physically imposing person, nor is she exceptionally powerful. She is, however, precise and purposefully fluid in the execution of her skills, and she takes maximum advantage of the physics of fly casting. As Joan most amply demonstrates, fly casting is not about power. It is about the controlled application of power. Relaxing is an important element of control. That means relaxed shoulders for smooth lifting, relaxed arms and wrists for precise motion, and a relaxed grip for comfort. Just be sure that you do not relax too much. Fly casting does require energy input, and overly limp muscles will not do the job. You just need to strike a happy medium between leaving permanent fingerprints in the rod handle and being a wet noodle. To close this section, I will say again, control is the key word in all of fly casting. If you want success, stay in control. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up.
Screwing myself a little bit here, and I choose the wrong equipment today, which is a little bit too light to fish on the sea. I should have not brought my trout rod, but nevertheless, have a look how beautiful of a day it is here today. Finest Donegal, Ireland. I guess a longer rod is a good thing. Maybe a double-handed rod, a switch rod of some sort. Probably Mr. Surf's gadget is not wrong. And let me tell you another story why I fish a little bit here, and that is I found something very interesting about the cast only the other day from the great teacher of the sport and one of my all-time favorites called Joan Wulff. And Joan Wulff describes the cast as an open-ended unrolling loop. An open-ended unrolling loop. Here, I show you a screen recording where she says it.
What is fly casting? It's bringing to life a fly rod and line through arm movement to create open-ended, unrolling loops with which to present an artificial fly to a target area.
Now do yourself a favor and Google the question, what is an open-ended loop? Do you want to go? Oh, I got some weight. Do you want to Google the question, open-ended loop? What is an open-ended loop? If you find the answer to that question, you will be pointed in the direction of control theory, because it works with open-ended, open loop control systems. I told you that in a couple of the FlyQ episodes in the first series of the FlyQ series, where you can watch and see what I'm saying there about open loop and closed loop control systems. And that whole thing means, my dear friend, that the whole fly fishing game is only running on open loop control systems and not on closed loop control systems. And open loop control systems have a lesser degree of control over the system than closed loop control systems, because closed loop control systems are able to feedback during the process. The teachings in fly casting do not feedback during the process. They delay feedback because they look at the cast after it's made, and the feedback of what you're making always comes too late, so you can always improve only on your next cast, which is kind of a little bit the definition of insanity. Repeating over and over the same thing and expecting an outcome that does not happen. As in the perfect cast. Ask yourself, please, how many perfect casts have you made? How many perfect casts are you making? And also ask yourself again, why do you fly fish? Problem solving is about recognizing what's wrong first and then find solutions. If you don't have the conscious to recognize that something is not working as it should, you'll never be able to improve. And fly fishers are natural born problem solvers. I personally think that. Because why would you do that to yourself? To me, there can't be no other reason. Oh, that was a nice cast. There can't be no other reason than problem solving. Or do you think it is because we like to, I don't know. Leave a comment as to what you think. Why do we fish with fly rods? What is the reason? Oh yeah, I'm getting in the flow here. Probably shouting in the microphone like crazy all the time too. Let me switch that off for a while and fish a little bit more focused so I can show you the plenty of fish later. I have changed the spot here to another beautiful spot that looks a bit easier to fish. Oh yeah, how cool is that? That direction over there is where Sleeve Leak is, the highest cliffs, sea cliffs in Ireland, or Europe maybe, probably, or high fucking things. Speaking of high things, why do you fish with a fly rod? I think, apart from that we are natural born problem solvers, I love that. I'm a natural born problem solver. My name is Flyfish Coolcast. Right. Apart from being problem solvers, natural born problem solvers, we are also flow state specialists. And the flow state is something that I think a lot of fly fishers have already experienced, but they don't know where to put it, or they're not aware of that flow state. And I can reach the flow state in the meantime with just one cast. And depending on how hard you struggle or how easy you have to control the fly rod and line system, the easier you will find in the flow of your fishing process. So fly fishers are not only natural born problem solvers, but also flow state specialists. Wow, there's a lot of letters in that for just catching a couple of fish, but we both agree that it's not catching fish. Why we fly fish, is it? Leave a comment as what you think why we fly fish. I'll be very interested in hearing your opinion, and let me fish a little bit more.
What makes me come back to the fishing and the casting is the learning process in a way too. And of course the fact that if you learn enough you will end up in flow state configuration. And the flow state is the highest form of control, the art of not forcing, the win without trying, the state where everything else disappears and time dies away. Goethe's Rausch, if you so want, a state of well-being and best performance. The effortless flow makes it easy to look at problems in another way and be focused to the task at hand. It is often in fly fishing about getting comfortable with getting uncomfortable, if you so want. Given the stretch, but not a snap. And the flow state is that state where the human mind learns twice as fast. It's a state also of being like a 4-year-old child at play. Optimum experience that cuts down our learning time to half. And often the burden of the future affects our actions in the present. That is exactly the problem that occurs with the teachings, the current teachings in fly casting of the loop. And these circumstances influence the skills. And if you want to enter the flow state, I suggest to make sure not to let fear and worries sabotage your performance, and to immerse fully in yourself. It is important to take the pressure out of the learning system. The flow state has been scientifically researched and is a fact. And what does it take to get there? That is also a very interesting question. How do you get in the so-called zone, the wu wei, the state of ultimate performance, the state of peak performance and rapt attention and total absorption? The father of flow psychology is called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, or I probably butchered that name, but an Hungarian boy, and he presented flow psychology for the first time in 1975, and flow is definable. And what exactly is happening in flow? Why is something feeling flowy, or how does it feel when you are in flow state? Maybe you know that experience. For example, you are fishing beside a road or a busy place, and at the beginning of your fishing session you still hear that noise of the traffic, of the people, of whatever, but suddenly you're so focused in your game that this traffic is suddenly inaudible. Or like me here getting in the flow, what disturbed me in the session all the time is the noise of the waves. I'm not used to fishing and talking to the noise of the waves, and I couldn't get into this flow state unless I find this spot here where I at least can drop my line into the ground, where the line does not snag all the time. So it was easier for me to enter the flow state here in this location, for example. And it's hard to come in the flow if you get interrupted all the time by snags or casting faults or factors that disturb the process, right? Now what you see here, I don't show this to you because I want to show off with my casting, which I want to do anyway. That's how casting instructors are. That's what they do. They fucking show off with the casting. So what I'm doing here is I make 2 false casts and then I cast the whole fly line.
Two false casts, 1 fly line. Saltwater special.
So apart from showing off here, which is not intended, the real reason why I show you this is flow state occurrence, okay? And what you can see here is how the flow state affects my personal self. And I can't tell you what happens to you in flow state, but the flow state is a scientific fact. It's also called transient temporary hypofrontality. And what happens there is parts of the brain get kind of switched off and you work funnily with less, but you have more control over that capacity. Scientifically, or from what I understood so far, I'm only learning all these things. And it leads to a factor, to a process of the deep now. And I, for example, start singing often, if that happens, the flow state. You know, just get into it, into the groove of things, as you say. And that is the state where ultimate happiness is also happening. And also, that deep now makes anxiety disappear.
So much water to cast that here. Big old sea. And for casting footage, actually, you'll also see why I go to my lake normally, because for doing casting stuff, you'll see much more there than you would see here in this disturbed environment, or not disturbed is not the right word, dynamic environment. I'm not saying that the lake is not dynamic, but this here is another leak. Let me catch you a few more fish now, and I'll show you all the bass later that I caught.
What the flow state does is it produces the 5 most potent neurochemicals of them all. And it is kind of a positive addiction, like the source code of intrinsic motivation, and it works in a form that is autotelic. And an autotelic activity is one we do for its own sake, because to experience it is the main goal. Applied to personality, autotelic denotes an individual who generally does things for their own sake rather than in order to achieve some later external goal. This is funnily also by Michael Csikszentmihalyi.
We throw her out of the backing and also have perfect tracking. Oh baby, that sea is very cool. Da, 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 da. How about you? When you feel good when you're fly fishing, do you sing as well? And please tell me, leave a comment. Oh, that was not a great cast. Leave a comment on why do you fish with a fly rod. I must know that. It's very interesting, I think. Because there is another aspect to it, apart from that we are, in my opinion, problem solvers, natural born problem solvers, and flow state specialists. There's another thing to it, I personally think, and that is fooling the fish. The trickery that we play with our quarry, I think that has something to do as well with it. And if you look at Carl Jung's psychology archetypes, you will find the psychological archetype of the trickster. The psychological archetype of the trickster. Look in this also a little bit if you're interested, while I'm throwing my line in the back end here. Not catching fish as usual, but I see a cormorant there, and I guess he's not here for no reason. Come on, Bassy Bassy. I guess it's not working like that. Just one more cast, he said, and wasn't back after darkness. Oh yeah, Fishy, fishy. Fishy, fishy. Not catching fish is a big part of fly fishing. Is that why we choose to fly fish? Is it the not catching part of fish? Oh man, imagine we would still have to survive off our catches. Would you go fly fishing? Just asking. I'm only asking questions from a standpoint of curiosity. And what I found with Joan Wulff, the open-ended unrolling loop on the cast, that is another cracker out of the fly cue knowledge and understanding of control with fly, rod and line. I don't teach casting, I teach control with fly, rod and line. And if you want to solve your problems, control is the way to do so. I thank you very much for watching. Let me pan out another time out here in the beautiful Irish landscape. Give you another look out here, and might voice over a little bit of that later on, and enjoy whatever you're doing. Go out, practice, fish, and let me know why do we fish with a fly rod. And of course, do not forget, we don't own the water owns us.